Hello learners, welcome to grade 8 business studies. I'm your presenter Arthur Kidinji, a teacher at ACK St. Michael Model Schools in Ongata Rongai. Today we are going to look at business and its environment. This is a topic that tries to discuss the various forms of business enterprises that we have in our localities. Normally, we have three types of business enterprises. So, forms or types of business enterprises. Business enterprises, we have three. So one, we have what we call sole proprietorships. Two, we have partnerships. And three, we have cooperative societies. So, when we talk about forms of business enterprises, these are the various ways that people carry out their businesses or do their businesses day to day. This begins with the laws that govern each business enterprises, to the sources of finance, to the management, and to all other things. So, as we look at each, we shall look at the following things. We shall look at the following things as we look at each of these forms of business enterprises. We shall look at A, the meaning of each. B, we shall look at the formation of each. C, we shall look at the management. D, we shall look at the sources of finance. E, we shall look at advantages and disadvantages of each business enterprise. And lastly, we shall look at dissolution. So when we look at sole proprietorships, we shall look at the meaning of a sole proprietorship. We shall look at the formation of a sole proprietorship. We shall look at the management of a sole proprietorship. We shall look at the sources of finance, or what we call capital, of sole proprietorships. We shall look at advantages and disadvantages of sole proprietorships. And we shall look at dissolution of sole proprietorships. So I'll start with the sole proprietorships. Forms of business units. Forms of business enterprises. And on sole proprietorship, I shall start by looking at the meaning. The meaning of sole proprietorships. Sole proprietorship comes from the word sole. Sole means single or one. So a sole proprietorship form of business is a business that is owned by one person or one individual, and this person is called a sole proprietor or a sole trader or a sole owner. So these are names that are used to refer to the owner of a sole proprietorship. So the business is sole proprietorship, whereas the person who owns the business is a sole proprietor or a sole trader or a sole owner. And this person is in charge of all the business operations. But this person also can get to hire somebody to help them to run the business, or they can get a family member or a relative to help them in running the business. But that does not mean that these people who are hired or who are appointed by the sole trader are liable for any losses in the business. So if this person gets somebody to run the business, they should also remember that success or failure of the business is in their hands and not the hands of the people who they have delegated the duty to. So a sole proprietorship is a business that is owned and run by one person. It is believed that, according to statistics, that in the US, 35 million businesses are sole proprietorship forms of business units, which means that in the whole world, these are the largest, the highest number of types of businesses that we have. These ranges from a vegetable stall, or what we call mama mboga. We have the border people. We have the retailers who have got single shops. We have the roadside sellers. We have the hawkers. Anybody who owns the business alone without the help of another person. The person who came up with the idea looked for the sources of money to start and run the business, and that person is the one we are calling a sole trader. Then that type of business is a sole proprietorship. Then the second thing we look at after the meaning is the formation. The formation. We say that sole proprietorships are easy to form because they need few legal procedures. They require few legal procedures. Which makes them pretty easy to start. For example, they need things like a license or a business permit. They require just a license or a business permit. And these can be easily gotten from a county authorities. Within every town, there's a county office whereby you can just pop in and get your license or a business permit. And once you have those, then you are good to go. Unlike things like companies, whereby people pay a lot of taxes every year, single businesses or sole proprietorships only account at the end of the year through the Kenya Revenue Authority and show the amount of profits and losses they have made by doing what we call KRA returns. So they don't pay extra cash to the government. Only what they pay is they pay for the license or the business permit, which makes them pretty easy to start or to form. Again, these sole proprietorships are small businesses, which means you can just wake up and get small amount of money and then form that kind of a business that is in your mind. Then number 3, we have the management of sole proprietorships. Sole proprietorships are usually managed by the person we are calling a sole trader, by a single individual. And that's why we said that this person can get assistance. They can hire somebody when the operations of the business become too big. They could get another person, they pay them, and this person can help them to run the business. But success or failure of the business still is in the hands of the sole proprietor. So management is usually by the sole proprietor. This is the dream bearer of the business. So even if they get a family member to help them run the business, they must ensure the family member does not lead to collapse of the business. So they still do management, whether presently or away from the business. So management is only by the sole trader or the sole proprietorship, because that person is solely responsible for failure or success of the business. Number 4, or D, we look at the sources of finance. Sources of finance. Which are some of the sources of finance for a sole proprietorship, or what we call capital? Capital is the amount of money that is initially required to start a business. Every business needs a capital, but the smallest form of business unit that requires the smallest amount of capital is a sole proprietorship. Depending with the size of the sole proprietorship, which ranges from the smallest, the hawker, let's say hawkers, the stalls, we have so many stalls, the popcorn sellers, those people who sell on the roadside, like those people who sell eggs, moving from one place to the other. All those are forms of sole proprietorships. So in your mind, you should know that whenever you have the smallest amount of capital, or whenever you have a small amount of money, the easiest job or the easiest form of business you need to open is a sole proprietorship form of business unit. Now, there are some other large sole proprietorships, like you want to open a hotel. A hotel is quite big. You can do something big, which requires a big amount of capital. So for sources of capital, the capital depends with the size of the sole proprietorship that you want to start. If you want to start a school, you may need quite an amount of money. You may need money to buy land, to do the buildings, to employ the staff, because you cannot do it alone. It requires some expertise, and that means you need a large amount of capital. But if you're starting, you want to start selling a vegetable stall, you can start a simple retail shop with a small amount of capital. So on sources of capital, we have the following sources of capital. One is personal savings. The main source of capital is personal savings. Personal savings. Remember that sole proprietorships is a dream of one person, which means for you to start dreaming, you must plan. And in the process of planning, you have to keep some savings for yourself so that you have a target, like a goal that I want to start a business at the end of the year. This business is worth 50,000, so I'll save 10,000 each month for the next 10 months or for the next 5 months, and then these will help me to start a business at the end of the year. So you are the owner of the business is the dream bearer, and that's why personal savings becomes the main source of finance. The second source of finance is donations and borrowings from friends and relatives. Donations / borrowings from friends and relatives. You may get help. Maybe your savings are not enough. You could get donations. You could also borrow some money from friends or relatives, and that could also contribute to a source of capital. Number 3, we have inheritance. Inheritance. This is also another major source of capital, whereby maybe you have inherited a piece of land and you want to convert it maybe to a couch. You want to use that piece of land to run your business or to start your business. You have inherited some cash from your parents, and you want to utilize that money. That could be a source of finance for this sole proprietorship. And the fourth source of finance that we have is loans from banks. Loans from banks. And other money lending institutions When we talk about loans, the amount of money you pick as a loan will depend with the size of the business that you want to start, or your qualification, what we call the eligibility criteria that the bank will use. So if you need like 1 million shillings, if you're not eligible, the bank won't give you that. They'll give you what you are eligible to take. So you can go and get a loan from the bank. You can also get money from money lending institutions. An example, we have what we call Kenya Industrial Estates. Kenya Industrial Estates, KIE. KIE is one of the money lending institutions that helps people to start businesses. So you can go to KIA, give them what they need, and then they will give you some money to start and run your business. Number 5 is leasing and renting out property. Renting out property. Leasing. Maybe you have some buildings. You may rent them out to people, then use that money to start and run your business. Maybe you can lease them out. Leasing is long-term renting. Renting is on monthly basis, but leasing is when somebody pays for that house, for that piece of land, for a period of more than 1 year. 1 year and above. That is leasing, which means more money are the same in one spot. So you can lease out property, get money to start the business. You can rent out the property, raise some capital for starting your business. The other source is number 6. We have reinvesting retained profit. Reinvesting retained profits, or what we call plowing back profit. Plowing back profit. When we talk about reinvesting, that means once you have started an investment, you are raising some money. This money that you are getting as profit, you can bring it back to the business and increase the stock that you have in the business. That is make your business become larger by using the profit that you get daily rather than using it for other personal use. And then number 7, the seventh source of capital is hire purchase. You can get goods on hire purchase. When we talk about hire purchase, is whereby you pay an initial deposit on goods and then pay the rest of the money in installments, in monthly installments, or maybe quarterly installments. When I talk about getting goods, what you want to sell in the business is what I'm calling goods. So if you are dealing with electronics, you can go to a wholesaler who sells electronics on hire purchase. Buy these goods, go open your business, sell to your customers, get profit. From that profit and the money that you get from selling, you can go back and pay this person slowly by slowly in installments. And then lastly is government institutions. Government institutions. Government institutions. When we talk about government institutions, this is a current trend in the business that we have. For example, we have Uwezo Fund. We have things examples. We have Uwezo Fund, which is for youths and vulnerable people like in our society. We have also the Youth Development Fund. We have the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, Youth Enterprise Development Fund. We also have the Women Enterprise Fund, the Women Enterprise Fund. These are some of the ways in which the government has tried to bring up or to support business people by giving out capital for people to start various forms of business units. You can be given some money to start a sole proprietorship, or you can even join together, come as a group, and then start a partnership, given money by the government institutions. And then those are the sources of capital. So we have personal savings, we have donations or borrowings from friends and relatives, we have inheritance, we have loans from banks and other money lending institutions like the Kenya Industrial Estates. We have leasing and renting out property. We have reinvesting retained profit, or what we are calling plowing back profit. We have hire purchase, and we have government institutions like Uwezo Fund, Youth Empowerment, Youth Enterprise Development Fund, and the Women Enterprise Fund. So let's go to advantages and disadvantages. Let's look at the advantages and the disadvantages of sole proprietorships. I'll start by looking at advantages. I'll look at advantages. And the first advantage is that they are easy to form. They are easy to form or start. Sole proprietorships, we said, require few legal formalities. They require few legal requirements. You only need a trading license or a business permit to start. And you can pop into any county government office and get these easily. So that's one of the main advantages. Number two, they require minimum capital. They require capital required a small. You require a small amount of capital to start these kind of businesses. If you have like 1,000 shillings, you can buy a crate of eggs. Once you have a clearance from the health, you can start that business. If you have like 50,000 shillings, you can start a good vegetable stall, and you start getting your money at the end of the day. So they are easy to form, and also their capital that requires it is small. Then there's quick decision making. There's quick decision making process. Quick decision making process. The quick decision process, the quick decision making process is there because you don't consult anybody as the sole trader or as the sole owner or as the sole proprietor. You only consult yourself. So you don't have to expect feedback from another person. You make a decision, that decision, you have to go with it, which means it takes a very short time for decision-making process. Number four is the owner enjoys profit alone. Very important. Owner enjoys profits alone. You don't share your profits with anybody. You enjoy the profit alone because you also suffered while running the business alone. So when it is time to share, you share with yourself. And that's what is also a very big advantage. The other advantage is that the owner is accountable. The owner is accountable to him or herself. Nobody asks the owner questions. The owner is accountable to him or herself. So in case you want to open the business late, or it is raining and you got late to open your business, nobody will ask you why you came late. It is you who is accountable to yourself. In case maybe you are sick and you picked some cash from the business and used it to go to hospital or for other errands, then or pay school fees, nobody is going to ask you questions. You are accountable to you yourself. And then another advantage, they are flexible. They are flexible. The other one is flexibility. The other advantage, it is a flexible business, which means you can shift. You can shift from one line to another. From one line to another. Learners note this, that nobody has tied a sole proprietor from doing one business. If you have a vegetable stall, it doesn't mean that that stops at there. If you have a shop, it doesn't mean that you cannot do something else. In case you realize that the shop is not giving you some cash, you want to start a hotel, then you can easily shift from one line to another. And that brings the flexibility aspect. And then we have number 7 is that the owner can hire somebody. The owner can hire or employ someone. And this person can help them to run the business in their absentia, or as they do, that can be a side hustle. You can start a sole proprietorship as a side hustle, whereby you are working, you are a teacher, you are a doctor, you are a lawyer. So when you're not at work, somebody is running the sole proprietorship for you, and you are also getting profits at the end of the day, which makes it an advantage. And then lastly, the owner maintains the secrets of the business. The owner maintains the secrets of the business. Owner maintains secrets, or what we call privacy of the business. The owner is able to maintain the privacy of the business, and this is very important. That if you have your debtors are people that have taken credit from us. You are sure that your debtors will not be spoken out there by other person, because that's a secret between you and your customers. So if somebody comes and buys on credit, nobody is in fear that that information may leak out there. Secondly, if you have bought things on hire purchase and your shop is full, nobody is going to say that you have not paid for those goods, because that is your secret with your business, and that's a very big advantage. That's a very big advantage of maintaining secrets and privacy of the business. Those are the advantages. We have easy to form capital, is small, quick decision-making process. Owner enjoys profit alone. Owner is accountable to him or herself. It is flexible. One can change what they are doing to do something different. Owner can hire or employ somebody to help them run the business. The owner can maintain privacy of the business. So from there we move to disadvantages. Disadvantages of sole proprietorships. Disadvantages of sole proprietorships. Disadvantages. One is that the owner has got unlimited liability. The owner has got unlimited liabilities. When we talk about unlimited liabilities, in case the business is unable to pay its debts, there are some goods you bought on credit. There are some goods you bought on hire purchase as form of capital, and you are unable to pay your creditors, those people that gave you those goods on hire purchase, those people that gave you goods on credit, then your personal property will be taken to pay for those goods. And that is why we say the owner has got unlimited liabilities. Because in a sole proprietorship, there is no difference in front of law. The owner of the business and the business are one and the same thing. They are inseparable in front of the law. So your property will be taken in case you are the sole proprietor and you are unable to pay for those goods and services. Note these very well, learners: unlimited liabilities. Unlimited liabilities. Then number two, we have it has limited sources of capital. Limited sources of capital. Limited sources of capital. And this could be a big problem when any person wants to expand a business. If you go to a bank, these are the smallest forms of businesses that we have out there. If you want to get a loan from a bank, they look at how big your income is, how much money are you getting per day, and the cash flow. And cash flow in a sole proprietorship is usually small, which means that they could give you a small amount of money. They could give you a small loan. We have also looked at the other sources of capital for sole proprietorships, and we have seen there are things like inheritance, there are things like borrowing from friends and family members, personal savings, and these are limited sources of money. So expanding a sole proprietorship becomes very hard because of these disadvantages. Number three, poor decision making. Poor decision making is possible. Poor decision making is possible because of lack of consultation. Lack of consultation. The sole proprietor, we said one of the advantages is that there is a quick decision making process, and this could be a danger because if this person makes decisions without consulting others, there is a possibility of making a poor decision. And this poor decision could lead to collapse of the business or could lead to losses. in the business. Then another disadvantage is the owner may lack expertise. The owner may lack of expertise. And these would lead to poor performance in the business. For example, if you have opened an hotel and you have not done catering, so and you want to try some cuisine, you see that you may not produce the best, which may lead to you losing your customers, and that is a big problem. Then the other one is owner suffers loss alone. The owner suffers losses alone. Suffers losses alone. We said one of the advantages is that the owner enjoys profit alone. At the same time, it is a disadvantage in the sense that the owner may suffer the losses alone in case the owner gets some losses. They will not have somebody to help them caution these losses, and that is a big disadvantage. Owner may have to work long hours, so it is tiresome. This form of business enterprise could be tiresome, as the owner works for long. And this could lead even the owner forgetting other departments of life, and they sacrifice their personal life for the business, and this could be a very big disadvantage. They forget their family. They kind of neglect their family because most of the time they are attached to the business, or they forget their other part of life. And those are some of the disadvantages of sole proprietorships. One, we have said they have unlimited liabilities, whereby we have said the owner, in case the business is unable to pay its debts, it is the owner who pays the debts, or the owner's property will be taken to pay for those debts. They have limited sources of capital, poor decision making because of lack of consultation, which may lead to collapse of the business. Lack of expertise may lead to poor performance in the business. The owner may suffer losses alone in case of a loss. And lastly, they are tiresome, whereby the owner works for long and the owner may forget their personal life, or substitute or sacrifice their personal life for the business. And then lastly, the last thing we look at is dissolution. Dissolution of sole proprietorships. Dissolution comes from the word dissolve, just like tea and sugar and salt dissolves in water. They come to an end. You cannot see the sugar again, you cannot see the salt again. What are some of the circumstances in which the business, so dissolution means bringing to an end. What are some of the circumstances that may lead to the sole proprietorship coming to an end? These are some of the circumstances. Circumstance number one is owner's decision to dissolve. The owner's decision to dissolve. When I talk about the owner's decision, maybe the owner has realized that they are running out of, they are not getting profit. They are making loss and loss and loss. Sometimes when you are starting a new business, you see somebody else somewhere making profit and you think, when I start this business, I'll also make money like person X. But when you start venturing into the business, you realize it is not business as usual. So you start making loss after loss after loss. And these would advise you to dissolve or to stop the business. So the owner can sit down and decide that I am not making profit, therefore I'm going to stop running this business. Or sometimes they move from one place to another and they cannot continue doing what they were doing in place A when they have moved to place B. Therefore they make that decision. Or so many other circumstances that may lead the owner to make a decision to stop running the business. The second circumstance would be in case of death, disability, or insanity. In case of death, disability, or insanity of the sole trader. In case the sole trader dies, they die with the whole idea of the sole proprietorship. In case they become disabled and they are unable to carry out the operations of the business, then that means the whole idea of the sole proprietorship is dead, and therefore they cannot continue running the business. In case they have a mental problem, insanity, they have a mental health issue, and they cannot be able to run the business, then the business will come to an end. The other one is in case of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy of the owner. In case the owner becomes bankrupt or runs out of cash, that means the owner can no longer continue running the business, because business requires money each and every day. We require to pay for our supplies in the business, we require to pay for delivery in the business, and so many other needs in the business that may require cash. So in case the owner has got no money, or is declared bankrupt, or is bankrupt, then the business cannot continue. The business will have to be dissolved. Number 4, in case a law is passed, passing of a law, illegalizing the business. Laws change each and every day. A few years ago, NACADA had started the initiative to stop cat or miraa, when they had said that miraa is a drug. They declared miraa a drug. If that had been passed through the parliament and became a law, then all the stalls you see around selling miraa would have closed down, which means the law has passed, making it illegal to sell cat or to sell miraa. In case we wake up tomorrow, because it has been a journey with the cigarettes, nowadays you cannot smoke in public. Maybe tomorrow a law will be passed, just thinking aloud, a law will be passed that it's illegal to smoke in Kenya. So when this passes, then we don't expect the people dealing with cigarettes to continue running, because when they run, we say they are acting ultra vires. They are acting against the law, which means they will be arrested, arraigned in court, and in prison at the end of the day, or charged for that. So in case a law is passed, illegalizing whatever the proprietor is doing, then they'll have to dissolve the business. And then lastly is expiry of the operating period. Operating period. Maybe the business was started to run for a short period of time. For example, I would want to go during the Nairobi Trade Fair show and start selling, start an hotel industry during the Nairobi Trade Fair show. So when I start this, it could last maybe for a month. Once the month is over, that means the period of operation is over. That means when the business or when the show closes, then I cannot continue operating the business. So I'll pack my things and leave. I'll have to dissolve the business. Maybe I started a business that was supposed to run for 3 months because of maybe I'd anticipated some event or something. Once that 3 months are over, then I can dissolve the business. Thank you, learners. That is what we have looked at on sole proprietorships. We have looked at the meaning of a sole proprietorship. We have said it is a business that is owned by one person, who is called a sole trader or a sole proprietor. We have looked at the formation. We have said that there are few legal requirements needed. One is a trading license and an operating a business permit. Then we have talked about the management. We have said it is managed by one person who is a sole trader, and this person could hire somebody to do it on their behalf if they have something else they are doing, or they are doing the business as a side hustle. And also they can get family members to help them in running the business, but they are solely responsible for failure and success of the business. Then we have looked at the sources of capital. We have talked about some sources of capital. We have talked about things like personal savings, which is the main source of capital. We have talked about donations and borrowings from friends and relatives. We have talked about inheritance. We have talked about other sources of capital like leasing out property and or renting out property, reinvesting retained profits, and hire purchase. Also government institutions like the Uwezo Fund, we have Youth Enterprise Development Fund, and we have the Women Enterprise Fund. We have talked about advantages and disadvantages, and we have also discussed dissolution of sole proprietorships. I hope that you have learned from these, you have benefited from these. Until next time, when we'll do partnerships and we will also look at cooperative societies. Thank you very much. Have a good day.